Hey, this is Clint Holley with Well-Made Music. Today we're back in the warehouse taking a look at this new addition to Well-Made's arsenal of cutting lathes. Last week I was in Cleveland, Ohio at historic SUMA Recording, and we loaded out their old AM32b mastering lathe and brought it down to Bristol, Virginia for a complete restoration. It's been sitting in a basement unused for about 5 years, so it has some issues that need to be taken care of, and we're going to show you some of the photos that I've taken over the last week, and we're just currently in the process of assessing each system, what's original, what's been modified, and what needs to be done to get this machine back up on the world stage. Well, let's take a quick tour of some of the items that are associated with this AM32b lathe. We think it's from about 1957, somewhere between 1957 and 1959. So there's a lot of parts here, and they each do something a little bit different. So my first task is to disassemble all of it, figure out what is original, what's been modified, and who we need to talk to get a lot of this stuff fixed. So right now we're looking at a pile that has a lot of different pieces in it. You see the vacuum platter, you see the suspension box, which holds the cutter head, you see the drive shaft, and behind all that, you see the microscope, and a big piece is called the pitch box, and you see the lid for the pitch box and the internal motors of the pitch box. This is what drives the lead screw and the cutter head across the surface of the disc, and so this is a very important part. And you can see it's been, it's been in a basement. There's some mouse poo in there and some other stuff, but that's all going to get cleaned out, and one day this will be looking spick and span all over again. You have a Lyric motor from the 1950s here, and this one seems like it's in pretty good shape. It turns really nice, and it's still relatively clean, so it's looking somewhat unmolested. Well, here we have the carriage assembly of the lathe. This is kind of the heart and soul of the lathe here. The suspension box gets mounted onto this mount here, and that hovers over the platter, which will be put on this platform right here. The pitch box attaches to this flywheel here, and we're gonna see if we can fix this pitch box up, or if we need to find an aftermarket pitch and depth system to get this thing back up and running. You see some of the old control panel items here, and you see that it's had years and years of use and not a lot of maintenance. So all of this is going to get torn apart. Well, this is the base pedestal that the whole lathe assembly sits on when it's going to be cleaned up and ready to roll again. You can see it's crusty. It's been around since the 1950s. It's going to need cleaning, repainting, and a lot of just kind of cosmetic work here on this. All of these metal panels are bolted directly to an angle iron frame, so all of these should be able to be removed and cleaned up. And the rest of the sheet metal is currently back here, and just figuring out what's going to be the best course of action in the long run for all of these parts. Well, thanks for joining me. This is kind of video number 1. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of videos after this. There's a lot of work in front of me, and I'm really looking forward to bringing this historic lathe from SUMA Studios back onto the world stage, cutting great masters for you in hopefully the not so distant future.